Get to the nearest bookstore and get yourself a copy of the 3-in-1 guide from the Climax publishers. So the second last episode is the method or the choice matrix. We understand that the choice committee was formed, and the choice committee was mandated with coming up with a strategy that will be used to select the best strategy that would steer Africa out of its problems between way omega and path alpha. Nasty things happen there. The method committee comes with a suggestion that we are going to toss a coin to choose the method. The chairperson brings the projector. The projector is placed there with an IT expert who is suggested by the committee, and then tables are displayed, graphs are displayed, that the first toss will mean that if the head, it means that is way omega. If it's the tail, it means it's path alpha. The chairperson goes on to explain several things that at some point confuse the audience. And two people get curious there. The first one is Minister Zinto, and he asks, really, Mr. Chairman, the heads of state, the 50 heads of state seated, choosing a method through tossing of a coin, he gets skeptical. He feels like this should not be done. The chairperson humorously says, Mr. Zito, I hope that if your method is chosen by the coin, you will also have the same comment. So from here, the minister with the inferiority complex, he actually sits down because the person speaking, the chairperson, is actually the president, while the challenger is a mere minister. Dr. Abiola Afolabi also expresses his skepticism over the method, and he rises up to say, Mr. Chairman, I think the minister has a point to say, but who is the chairman? He sarcastically attacks Dr. Afolabi and says, Dr. Afolabi, remember you are here to offer advice and not to decide for us. So if I need your advice, I will look for you. And we remember at some point, Dr. Afolabi stood to say that let us have way omega on one hand and path alpha on the other hand. The chairperson remembers this and says, if we go by your method, Dr. Afolabi, he takes it literally that we'll be here admiring our hands for the entire summit and will not have a solution. So the best method is tossing of a coin. And actually that is what happens. So what do we see from this episode of the choice matrix before Mr. Njogu takes us to the last one, that's the revelation? Number one, there is an aspect of aristocracy. This is actually like dictatorship. Dictatorship is when you are forcing something into the people. They don't want it. Aristocracy is the absence of democracy. All the members have not been involved in deciding which way they want. Through dictatorship, decided that the method to be used is by tossing of a coin. When the minister, Zinto, challenges this, he is told to sit down. When Dr. Afolabi challenges the same, he is told to sit down. That is dictatorship. Number two, political misunderstanding. How do we see the aspect of political misunderstanding? Of course, the misunderstanding between Minister Zinto and the chairperson of the choice committee, or rather the method committee, and the overall chairperson. The third method we see is the grade for power. You see, the heads of state want to choose a method that will favor them. One of them stood and said, I think at some point way omega suggests that we should have only 2-term limits. Why should it limit us to 2 terms only? No, we should not be limited to 2 terms. We should be presidents. Actually, the aspect of the term limit should not be there. Actually, at some point, this president says the aspect of the term limit is not there, but it is actually there. This shows that these kinds of presidents want to be in power forever. And finally, we see the aspect of ignorance. Actually, ignorance is the lack of information. When you have no information or you are not knowledgeable, we say you are ignorant. And what do we see? Some of these heads of states, they are actually ignorant because, number one, they don't know how to choose the best method or the best strategy that can steer Africa out of its impediments, out of its problems. Instead, they decide out of their ineptitude to choose a method like, you just wonder, why would they fly all over Africa to Banjul, Gambia, to just toss a coin? It is because of ignorance. And finally, to conclude on this episode, we can say that the choice matrix actually exposes the heads of state, the fathers of our nations, as people that cannot be trusted, tossing a coin instead of sitting down and analyzing the two documents one after the other, looking at the merits and the demerits. Instead, someone from outside, someone who's not a head of state, just takes advantage of their ineptitude and challenges the strategy and sneaks in a strategy, and his plan actually sails through. That's all I would have wanted to say. I don't want to discuss much about the stylistics, because actually the stylistics that are there are basically the stylistics that have been discussed in the previous episodes. I will hand over to Mr. Njogu to add more or take us to the next episode.
Thank you so much, Mr. Wonix. Thank you for taking us through the method. The only thing I will say about the method, it is a ridiculous one. Remember, this method has been coined by a person who has not read the two documents and who has declared he won't read. And the way it has been coined, the way it has been designed, it has been designed in a very humorous and comical and actually satirical way, that if he wins, he wins. And if he loses, he wins. So either way, it is seen that there is no two ways about it. It is either he wins or he wins. I think at that juncture, I will move to the final episode of this book. Remember, even as we are talking about them as they are, always consider acquiring a guidebook from Climax Publishers, because it has all this we are talking about in details. And even as you watch this analysis, and even as you watch the movie, the action movie, and even as you read the guidebook, you will get